Hello everyone, I'm Chris Hussain, a process engineering student at the University of Trinidad and Tobago. And this semester, we, the students, were tasked with a big project. A project that is most needed in Trinidad and Tobago. A project to address the food import bill with a solution that is supposed to be a grow box. Now, why? Why? And why do we need to address this particular food import bill? Well, I say we look at the budget. We look at the 2020 fiscal budget. The Minister of Trade and Industry would have indicated in her contribution. She said that $2 billion was spent on cereals, imported vegetables, and imported fruits. A very big figure for a very small country. A country that is surrounded by water and a country that has one of the best climates in the world for agriculture. And that may sound like my opinion, but it really isn't. That part about our particular climate comes from the United Nations. The United Nations said that small island countries like Trinidad and Tobago should invest in agriculture because we have the best conditions for it. You would notice that next to me I have a grow box, and my team would be tasked with explaining more about this. I've planted some small plants of carrots, as carrots, they are one of those imported vegetables. And in this particular documentary, we'll speak about carrots, we'll speak about beets, we'll speak about kale, and so on and so forth. So, we are gently seeking to address a big issue, the food import bill. We must decrease that expenditure amount. And we have our solution. And this documentary will get into the how, the why, the what, and how. And I know many persons are wondering, well, how do we manage? How do we start? Well, this is what this documentary is about. So you made it this far. And I thank you for tuning in so far. And we look forward to your comments below. So thank you so very much. And please stay tuned for the rest of this documentary.
In this segment of the documentary, I will discuss how my colleagues and I went about implementing our Growbox project. We were first required to choose a community in which we would like to target. We chose the Laramie and Palmies area in which we live in due to the fact we were already acquainted with individuals within the community. After which, we researched and developed the following 3 Growbox design methods. A compost trench method which uses organic matter to keep the soil nutrient dense. A pallet box method which separates the crops from the ground to protect against insects. And a self-watering system method that uses a cotton string to keep the soil moist. In the process of developing these Growbox design ideas, we considered low-income families, so the materials had to be low cost. They also had to be easy to access, and the construction of the project had to be simple. We then sent out a questionnaire to 40 individuals within the Laramie and Palmies community to get a general consensus on who would be interested in a home garden, how much they spent on fruits and vegetables monthly, and which Growbox design method they are interested in. The questionnaires data were then simulated on pie charts showing their percentages. We found that 70% of individuals spent over $300 on fruits and vegetables monthly. 77.5% of individuals were interested in the compost trenching method, and 92.5% of individuals were interested in learning how to build a home garden system. Since the majority of questionnaire participants were interested in the compost trenching method, we then set out to construct, and we also planted various crops. It was concluded that there was growth in each crop planted, and we then wrote a technical report that shows the instructions required to build and construct this compost trench.
Generally, home gardening refers to the cultivation of a small portion of land, which may be around the household or within walking distance from the family home. Home gardens can be described as a mixed cropping system that encompasses vegetables, fruits, plantation crops, spices, herbs, ornamental and medicinal plants, as well as livestock. Each home garden is unique in structure, functionality, composition, and appearance, as they depend on the location, availability, family resources, such as labor and the skill preferences, and enthusiasm of family members. Home garden cultivation tends to be quite dynamic. The decisions related to the selection of crops, procuring inputs, harvesting, management, and so forth are mostly driven by the consumption and income generation needed of the household. Home gardening is one of the oldest and most enduring form of cultivation. For centuries, home gardens have been an integral component of family farming and local food system. Home gardening is an ancient and widespread practice all over the world and can be classified as either a mixed kitchen, backyard, farmyard, or homestead garden. These have persistently endured the test of time and continue to play an important role in providing food and income for the family. Homegrown produces a healthier and more flavorsome than most shop-bought vegetables and can be easily grown without the use of chemical pesticides. Some benefits you might see from making a home garden are improving health. A generous portion of plants found in home gardens have some medicinal value and they can be used to treat many common health problems in a cost-effective manner. Home gardens contribute to income generation, improved livelihoods, and household economic welfare, as well as promoting entrepreneurship and rural development. Home gardens can be promoted as an as a mechanism to avert poverty and as a source of income to subsistence families. They can be structured to be more efficient commercial enterprises by growing high valued crops. Home gardens provide a number of ecosystem services such as habitats for animals and other beneficial organisms, nutrient recycling, reducing soil erosion, and enhancing pollination. Everything we do in life seems to have a negative impact on the environment, but green living is becoming the norm, and people who want to reduce their carbon footprint can do so by putting carbon and greenhouse gases into the soil via permaculture and organic substances. Home garden stems from the direct contributions to household food security by increasing availability, accessibility, and utilization of food products. Home gardens provides easy day-to-day access to an assortment of fresh and nutritious foods for the household, and accordingly, those homes can obtain more than 50% of the vegetables, fruits, or tapas from their garden. Home garden can ensure food to an underprivileged and resource poor household as they can be established and maintained within a small patch of land.
Good day. Today I will be speaking about the crops used in our project and why. Each member of our group had to individually design and build a home garden system with desired crops. We took several key factors into account when deciding the crops to be used. So the crops we used are, but not limited to, bell peppers, kale, cabbage, carrots, beets, spinach, and cauliflower. The factors we took into consideration are the food importation bill, the demand for the vegetables, the ease at which it is for persons to obtain these seeds or seedlings within our country, the cost of the crops, the nutritional facts, and how easy it is to be grown and harvested. Looking at the food importation bill, we decided to grow these crops to help encourage persons and to show that it is relatively easy to grow these crops locally. Each year, Trinidad and Tobago spends over 4 billion TT dollars on food importation. This not only places a strain on the economy, but drains the foreign exchange. If this continues, it ultimately leads to an absence in food security. In the selection of the crops used in our project, we also looked at the demand for the crops, and we found that some of the crops used in our project are imported on a large scale within Trinidad and Tobago. From the questionnaires administered online, based on the vegetables eaten most in respective households, carrots, tomatoes, bell peppers, and cabbage are among the most consumed, which is one of the reasons why we use some of these crops in our project. The crops we used were also selected based on the ease at which it is for persons to obtain these seeds or seedlings within our country. Kale, cabbage, bell pepper, cauliflower, spinach, beets, and carrot seeds or seedlings are relatively easy to obtain and can be purchased from almost any local plant or agro shop. The cost of the seedlings was also considered when selecting the crops. We decided to use these crops because they were relatively inexpensive to purchase. Kale was purchased at $5 per seedling, beet was purchased at $5 per seedling, bell pepper also $5 per seedling, cauliflower was purchased at $2 per seedling, carrots, spinach, and cabbage were purchased at less than $5 per seedling. So these crops are somewhat inexpensive and can be easily purchased to be used in a home garden. Another factor which was taken into consideration when selecting the crops used was how easy it is for the crop to be grown and harvested. We wanted to use crops that were moderately easy to grow and somewhat easy to be harvested. Kale was easy to be grown as it grows best in lots of sunlight with watering and nitrogen-rich soil. It can be harvested anywhere between 2 and 3 months if planted as a seed, or a month and a half if planted as a seedling. Cabbage was also easy to be grown as it grows in cool climates with consistent watering and could be harvested in about roughly 90 days. We decided beets were easy to be grown as they grow in cool temperatures but thrive in warmer temperatures. Beets require watering based on how moist the soil is and could be harvested approximately 8 weeks after being planted. Spinach grows in cool weather and is moderately easy to grow. It requires moist soil and can be harvested approximately a month and a half after planting. Carrots are a bit more difficult to grow as you can't see how well they are doing until they are harvested, but they generally grow in cool weather with plenty of water and loose soil. They take approximately 80 days to reach maturity from seed and are fairly easy to harvest. Bell peppers grow best in warmer temperatures with warm and nutrient-rich soil. If planted as a seed, they grow better indoors first for about 10 days, then they can be planted outdoors. They require light but consistent watering and can take approximately 4.5 months before they can be harvested. We also decided cauliflower because they grow in cool temperatures and require a moderate amount of sun. Cauliflower requires consistent moisture and sufficient nutrients in the soil in order for them to properly grow. They take approximately 3 months until they can be harvested if planted from a seedling. Another key factor which we took into consideration was the nutritional facts of the vegetables. So we wanted to make sure that crops were planted we wanted to make sure that the crops we planted were rich in nutrients to help encourage persons to plant nutrient-rich crops. So just to list a few of the nutrients in the crops we planted are glycine 18 from beets, vitamin C from cabbage, iron from spinach, vitamin A from kale, vitamin K1 from bell peppers, vitamin B6 from cauliflower, and biotin from carrots.
So today I'm going to be showing you guys how to do your own grow box at home. It's very simple and straightforward, but first we need to get through the tools and materials required to do the job. So as you can see here, we have our potting mix. You will need about 4 packs of this depending on the size of the grow box. In this tutorial video we're using the 4 packs. So If you're going larger, you would need maybe 5 or 6 packs. We have a shovel to mix everything together. You could also use a gardening spade if one is of access to you. We have our plant. In this case, for this purpose of this video, we're planting bell peppers, but you can also use sweet pepper, carrots, kale, lettuce, any plant you're choosing. So this is the main part of the whole grow box. What material you're using to get the job done. So there's 2 types. This is a concrete block. So you can either use one of this, or you can use a red clay block. Whichever one is of access to you, or which one is more convenient for your application. Both work the same way, and both would give you a nice grow box design. Next we have our water. So I used that bucket I had lying around. You can use a watering can or anything that you have around your yard once you could store water. What I did, I already pre-mixed the fertilizer. You can pick up the fertilizer at your local agro shop. It's very cost effective and it mixes right into the water. So when you water in your plants, the fertilizer will already be in the water and you will need to come back to it. In this time, we will try to water the plant at least 3 times a day. So it's always nice to have your bucket on standby somewhere close to your grow box with the fertilizer already mixed, so it's just the water. So if you come across to this side, we would see I already have a grow box set up. It's 2 blocks by 3 blocks. It's a very simple design using the concrete blocks as shown earlier. You could also use the clay blocks. It's not difficult. So the 4 packs of potting mix were here. We use the shovel, we got it neat, and then we put down the plants. As you can see, these plants are about 8 weeks old. They already started flowers. So within the next 4 to 5 weeks, we should have bell peppers to harvest. So additionally, what I did was, seeing that I already had a grow box set up, we buy a lot of local seasoning at home, and it occurred to me that I could use these spaces in the blocks to plant some of the seasoning. So as you can see, I have some scythe here. They now start to grow. In a few weeks they will be bigger. I also planted some shadow benny, as you can see here. I also have a lot of additional spaces that haven't been full yet. So what that will do, as soon as we buy new seasoning, we would stick in the heads of the seasoning on the box. So eventually your whole grow box would have seasonings around it. And when you change your plants after they've been harvested, all you can do is pull them out and you could replant it. So in this case, as my home project, my next plant after the bell peppers would be sweet peppers. So I would just take out these old plants and I'll replant sweet peppers. A typical bed this size can house anywhere between 6 to 8 plants, depending on the type of plant. So it's very simple to do, and I urge you guys to try it at home.
Plant nutrients and management. Managing your crops. Once your crops have been planted, you need to observe your crops daily. Water as needed. Fertilize regularly. Monitor for any pests and diseases. Top up boxes occasionally and harvest in a timely manner. Observation. You must ensure that your plants do not wilt and there is sufficient moisture in the boxes at all times. Watering. The soil dries out very quickly, so keep a close eye on the boxes and water as needed. Remember, no tap water. Use water that has been standing between 4 and 6 hours. And in the dry season, water 3 times daily, in the morning, noon, and in the afternoon. Topping up. The soil in the grow box breaks down over time. So you need to top up the soil with potting soil, manure, or anything like that. This may be necessary after about 4 to 6 months. Pests and diseases. Pests live in the soil below the surface of the mixture. If you suspect pests in your area, treat your grow box with soil insecticides before planting your seedlings. If your area is not prone to pests, you should still look for signs during your daily observation. Here's a tip: less is best. Try to use as little pesticides as possible in the production of your crops. Fertilizing your plants. Seedlings can be watered daily with a weak fertilizing solution. Example, you mix 1 gram of 20-10-10 fertilizer in 1 liter of water and water your plants. Ensure to water the entire plant and the soil while watering. Here's a useful tip: 1 gram per liter is approximately half teaspoon of fertilizer in a 2 liter soft drink bottle. In the wet season, apply dry salt to your plants. Whereas in the dry season, it is better to dissolve the fertilizer in water and then apply it to your grow box. Dry salting. For dry salting, prepare a mixture of 3 pounds of 12-12-17-2 fertilizer with 1 pound of calcium nitrate. Mix this well and apply 3 grams to each plant. You are applying this 7 days and 14 days after planting. Here's another useful tip: 5 grams equal 1 cupful of most soft drink bottles. So you can use a cupful to measure the fertilizer when dry salted. Wet salted. Mix 9 ounces of 12-12-17-2 fertilizer plus 3 ounces of calcium nitrate in 45 gallons. 45 gallons is 1 drum or a barrel. Use this water to water your plants twice each week for 2 weeks after planting, giving each plant approximately 1 liter of this solution at each watering. That's it for nutrients and managing of your crops.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Sean Simon, and I'll be presenting on the topic of project build and planted plants for the grow box project. So what we have here, you can see this is a grow box, right? So what we used to construct it was 12 concrete blocks, which will give you an area approximately 14 inches by 36 inches in area, right? So you line up the blocks as you can see. That's what we did first, and after now we will get your soil, but you look for a good mixture of soil. So what I used was manure and topsoil mixed together. So I used a fork and used to mix it properly. So the mix is very important to get the nutrients in the soil, right? So after that, you will notice that I also have some fencing. This is to protect the grow box from pests, right? So after that, you can see we go to the planting of the plants. So the seedlings I plant, I use 2 types. I use cabbage and cauliflower. So on this side here, I have cabbage, and on this side here, I have some cauliflower. So the important with this is that every day you need to be monitoring these plants and make sure that you're getting water on a daily basis and see how they're doing. So you're making sure that you see the condition and nurturing, just like a child, and you're taking care of the plants, making sure it's nurtured properly and everything is okay, right?